Die heutige Ausstellungseröffnung am ersten nationalen Veteranentag in Deutschland ist der Grund für sein Kommen.
Bitte begrüßen Sie Bryan Адамс. Lernen Sie ihn von einer anderen Seite kennen, nämlich als Fotografen und Fotokünstler.
Bryan Адамс kommt in Begleitung von Mark Ormrod und Caroline Froggatt.
Mark Ormrod ist einer der Menschen, die Bryan Адамs porträtiert hat und in seiner Ausstellung zeigt. Er war bei der britischen Royal Marine und wurde bei einem Afghanistan-Einsatz sehr schwer verletzt. Bei der Detonation einer Landmine wurden ihm beide Beine und ein Arm weggerissen. Er ist Veteran, er ist Kriegsveteran und heute unterwegs als Coach, Mental Trainer und Speaker.
Caroline Froggatt ist Journalistin. Ihrer ursprünglichen Idee eines Kalenders mit versehrten britischen Kriegsveteranen ist die Ausstellung Wounded zu verdanken. Sie brachte das gesamte Projekt mit Bryan Адамс als Fotografen ins Rollen.
Herzlich willkommen, alle drei hier in Berlin zum ersten nationalen Veteranentag in Deutschland.
Hallo.
Hallo, Mr. Bryan Адамс.
Hallo. Guten Tag.
Hello, dear.
Hello.
Hello,
Oh, nice to see you.
Nice to see you. Dear Mr. Адамс, thank you very much for coming, for joining the first National Veterans Day in Germany. It's a great honor for us to have you here with us, especially because you came here to show your exhibition, Wounded, the Legacy of War. People can look at the portraits you made of seriously wounded British soldiers during the recent wars. The exhibition opens today, right next to us in the Reichstagsgebäude. Most people know you as a very famous international musician, a rock musician. But apart from that, you're also a photographer and a photo artist. Today you came here with Mark Ormrod and with Caroline Froggatt. And Mark Ormrod is one of the war veterans we can see in the exhibition. And with Caroline Froggatt has literally had the idea of making a calendar with portraits of veterans. And so the whole idea of Wounded as a big exhibition came into practice, into truth. So we have a few questions and we would love to hear more about you and the project.
Would you translate all that into German?
We announced everything. We announced everything in advance.
They would probably appreciate it.
So I think people all understand. Ich glaube, ihr versteht alle, was wir gesagt haben.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we have some questions, only four. So, what does photography in general, and especially the photos of this exhibition, mean to you? How did you become a photographer and
This is many questions.
These are what?
These are many questions.
Yes, indeed. But you can point out. So, how did the idea of this exhibition came into practice? How did it develop?
Okay, so first of all, the photos are a reflection of a document I wanted to make of a particular time during the Iraq and Afghan wars, when we were told that it was going to be quick and simple, and the next thing you know, we were seeing people on the high street that are coming back wounded, and I was very anti-war and still am, and this is my way of making a document to show people which the media don't normally show. The media don't show these things to us. So I wanted to make this so that it was capturing this time. And it wasn't easy to do because a lot of the guys and girls, they have never actually exposed themselves before. So this was the first time. Mark, I'm sure, have you done many photographs like this since, or?
One or two since, but none before, absolutely none.
Right,
before.
so once I had one guy, I would say to him, do you know somebody else? And he'd say, well, actually, yeah, I know Mark. Mark might do it. And Mark would say, I know somebody. And this is how it built, and Caroline was very helpful as well in trying to find everybody. And eventually it became, because Caroline's initial idea was to make a calendar, but I thought it was too important a document to make it just a calendar. It needed to be a book. And so I made it with Steidl Verlag here in Germany, and here it is. And now but we made this in 2000, it came out in 2013, and now all these years later it's here at the Reichstag, and it's a great honor for us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So, the key message, do you want to point out the key message to our audience?
The key message is that these men and women that you see in this exhibition are the consequence of going to war. Okay, so if you decide to take up arms, this is what happens. And like I said to you earlier, this isn't something that you're going to see in the media a lot. In the media we get quick blurts of what's happening. We don't see what's really happening. Even though today when we watch all the news clips that are happening in all the war-torn areas of the world, they blur out the actual scenes of people that are hurt. These are people that were actually hurt and came back. But it's in some ways it's an exhibition to honor those that have fallen on both sides and the civilian populations that were affected to these wars. So it's a testament to a time, but it's also in honor of all the people that lost their lives.
Thank you very much. It's really marvelous what you have created.
Mr. Omrod, I would like to ask you a question. What do these portraits we can see next to us in the exhibition? What do the portraits mean to you?
They're very important to me personally, and I was very honoured to be part of this. But like Bryan just said, you know, a lot of the reality of war isn't shown in the media. It gets glamorized in movies a lot. You know, Hollywood movies glamorize it, but the reality is what's standing here in front of you. You know, men and women, they sacrifice, they lose their lives. Husbands lose wives, wives lose husbands, children lose their mothers and their fathers. And it's rough, and you know, for me this is the rest of my life. It wasn't just a 20-year period, it goes on forever. However, that being said, because of this work, we are in a sense immortalized, and you know, this will be remembered for a long, long time.
Thank you very much for sharing this part with us. Yeah. Thank you. In what way did this exhibition and all the portraits change your life especially? We've seen you in the Invictus Games, we've seen you in this exhibition. What can you tell us more about it?
For me personally, I don't know if I've ever told you guys this before, the period that I was going through in my life, my confidence had taken a bit of a hit, and so to sit there in my underwear and be photographed was a big thing for me, a big shift, and it helped to move me forward mentally, so I could regain that confidence and then get back to the old me. And as a result of that, as you just said, lots of good things like the Invictus Games were a result of that, and I say this a lot whenever I talk about my life and my injuries. I'm truly glad that my life is where it is now, and I live a very, very good life.
Thank you very much for your words. Thank you very much.
Dear Mrs. Froggatt, well, we would love to hear what did inspire you for this idea of wounded, of these portraits?
This gentleman here was the inspiration. I am a journalist, and I had been assigned to Headley Court, which was the charity-funded rehabilitation centre in Surrey. And I thought I was going to see a sort of swanky facility. I didn't know that I was going to meet Mark. And when I first met Mark, I was very taken with his good looks and his personality and his charm. And it was only after those things that I realised he'd actually lost 3 of his limbs. And that made me think, what is life-changing injury? What actually does that mean? And for me, I mean, I obviously agree with everything Bryan and Mark have said, but I think as much as it is a very stark illustration of the horror and the trauma of war. This exhibition is also a celebration of service and survival and fortitude. And what Bryan does so brilliantly in these portraits is he captures something that's really explicit. It shows the disfigurement and the damage, but also this implicit strength and courage. And it's a very special thing to be able to do that. And I'm very moved by what Mark said, because it took a lot of trust in myself and in Bryan for each of the veterans that participated to sit there, take their clothes off, show parts of themselves that they could barely look at themselves. And it's a real testament actually to Bryan's compassion and how he manages to communicate that to the people that he photographs.
And how did the contact to Bryan Адамс came together?
Well, I'm a
it's
journalist,
not obvious,
so I just emailed his office. But this is Bryan, you know, he's very open to creative ideas. Yes. I went along to meet him and I was really nervous and a bit shaky, but straight away he understood what I was trying to do, and I think we shared a sense of this untold story, and he was with it from the start. And actually, you know, the project evolved and I began interviewing the veterans after Bryan had photographed them, and we realised then it was a book, and then maybe even more than that, so it grew, and be forever grateful.
So you're very much touched by all the things you experienced with the veterans, with the photographs, with the photos, and at the exhibition. So it's really moving and exciting, and big feelings, I suppose.
Yeah, big feelings, humbling as well. And I think the title of the exhibition, the emphasis now, I think, is on legacy. And I think the legacy is, as Mark has already said, that his injuries are enduring and he is having to adapt and overcome for the rest of his life. And there are an awful lot of unseen injuries too. You know, mental health in veterans is awful. 70% of veterans in the UK have serious mental health issues. But there's been huge learning also in people like Mark and how he's managed to survive. And in Ukraine right now, there are 50,000 amputees since Russia invaded in 2022. So there's a lot of learning.
Thank you very much for being here. We come to an end for this interview.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you, sure.
And all the best. Best wishes.
Thank you for being here and sharing your part. Ms. Robert, thank you very much for being here. Ja, meine Damen und Herren, ich denke, das war nochmal ein ganz, ganz eindrücklicher Moment für uns alle, ein Moment der Reflexion.